Carolyn. Such a great joy it is on this wave of inspiration and connection and creativity to say good morning, beautiful people. I'm Vicki Jeter, your practitioner, spiritual director for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. And it is with great joy today that Reverend Carolyn is here to speak with us again this morning. The first Sunday of last month, she started us off on her adventures of loving out loud. And today she's launching our new month with playing with paradox for the month of October. And it is going to be an adventure. So I know there is a lot going on throughout our community right now. And I know that we have people returning from vacations and settling into fall rhythms with ball games and different things. And I woke up this morning, and as the sun was rising, I said, you know, I can actually feel the tilt of the earth, the autumnal. I don't know about you all, but the sun actually looks different. I mean, there is a different slant, even when the sun is fully shining. It looks way different now than in the spring and in the summer. I love that fall glow. As we take a pausing breath and settle into being here together, let's take a moment to set our intention, check in, and see which palette of colors you're painting with today for your intention. Our shared intention for this service is to open our hearts and minds and souls to the mysteries of paradox, individually and together. And I have a couple quotes that I want to offer. And this is just for the awareness of some of the kinds of things that are going on right now. And I want to lay a little foundation as we go into our opening prayer. We function best by including what was good and lasting in a previous stage and avoiding the overreaction and rebellious spirit that have characterized most dysfunctional developments. This demands both humility and the capacity for non-dual thinking. And that's a way of saying that we need to remember that at the foundation of everything, there's oneness. Slash and burn, what we don't care for, only creates a whole new set of things that need to be corrected from a rebellious spirit in the long haul. Either or thinking creates dysfunction and mistrust. Both and thinking creates continuity and trust. And that was by Richard Rohr. So, on that note, I invite us into opening prayer. Taking another pausing breath, recognizing that the fullness of the presence of Spirit is right here, right now. Omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. There is no other. And each and every one of us is its expression in the fullest. In this recognition, we are one. And in this recognition, as the LCSL community, I open this time as being vessels of spirit to give and receive, knowing that Reverend Carolyn's word is the word of the divine and blessed and blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. I release it, I let it be, and so it is. And on that note, I welcome each and every one of you with my whole heart to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter, whether you're here for us this morning or watching it together on Zoom. We thank you for your presence because you are what we are about. We start each day greeting God, the angels, LCSL as an entity, and every one of you seeking and finding. And so we want you to know that no matter where you're from, no matter what your path of faith, no matter where you're at on your path today, you're welcome here. And with that, our opening song to launch October for all the changes happening is Change by Kylie.
I love the springtime, it brings me hope. Everything's blooming with life. All things seem possible this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the spring, summer decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the summer, it brings me love. Everything's fully alive. All things seem happier this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the summer, autumn decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the autumn, it brings me joy. Everything's colored with light. All things seem easier this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the autumn, winter decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the winter, it brings me peace. Everything's resting inside. All things seem clearer this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the winter, spring then decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to, everything's going to, everything's going to change.
And this brings us to our mission and vision statement. Our mission for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living is to teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind and celebrating all paths to God, which leads to our vision, which is a world that honors and respects all people. As we know, spiritual living is only as good as we can actually relate to it and apply it in our daily lives. So each week we have an application of what we believe to practice and take with us throughout the week and offer as an opportunity to talk with people about what we believe and what's working and not working for us. So this week, our application of what we believe is with a good-natured flexibility with yourself. Learn to rise from confusion into peace, from sadness into joy. There is no law for you, but your own soul shall set it under the one great law of life. Turn to the light within. Believe in yourself. And that is by Dr. Ernest Holmes, who wrote The Science of Mind. And this brings us into our sacred reading and meditation with our practitioner of the week, Miss Bev Iyengar.
Good morning. Our reading and contemplation for the day begins with an article in the Science of Mind magazine for October by Carolyn. I'm going to be reading from reading from page 67 to begin. Less is more. That's a paradox, a literary device that gets our attention and invokes inquiry. A paradox contradicts what seems real in this time-space dimension. It is also a profound aspect of New Thought spirituality. For example, we learn to give what we want to keep. Now, does that make sense to the uninitiated? No. Yet when practiced as a principle, giving begets receiving. It's a spiritual truth that we must lose our life to save it. A paradox that mystifies us until we dive into it. The life we must lose is the one that sees limitation and threats through an egoic lens. Our real life is that of a spiritual being having a time-space experience of being human, not limited in any way, except by our own insistence that we are. We believe in that dual reality. James Michener wrote, the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he's working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. Whether intended or not, Michener offers us a definition of paradox, a fine one at that. Please join me now as we contemplate together application of this reading. Settle yourself and close your eyes for our contemplation today. As I read each of these possibilities, take them within and consider them for application for you. Learning to play with paradox is the key to opening our creative channels. We can grow in spiritual awareness while having fun with paradox. Consider deep stillness produces a happy heart. Silence proceeds right action. Playfulness is a sign of maturity. Love is both the tie that binds and the power that releases. As you open your eyes and move back into the time of presence, remember that playing with paradox can be and is a spiritual practice. It's universal, and it gives each of us an opportunity to live more fully in life, vitality, prosperity, and peace and joy. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Beverly. That was beautiful. And now, having dropped down into such rich stillness, we're rising up with a motivational video rather than a special music song today. It's an awesome video by a young man that I'm just getting to know named Eddie Pinero, and the video is called Lines in the Sand.
You pick up a stick and you draw a line in the sand. And on one side of this line is everything that's possible for you. Everything you can have, everything obtainable in your life. And on the other side is what's not. Those things you've decided are sort of beyond the realm of reality. Save for your fantasies, imagination, they're the job, the people, the cars that you walk by and think must be nice. Okay, and you notice that this divide's incredibly reliable. The things you have on the possible side, they remain possible. You reach for them, you gravitate towards them because you identify them as real. Just like the other side of that line is guaranteed to remain the same. Why would you work towards something that's impossible or unobtainable? Why would you waste your time? But now let's experiment. Okay, so you take your foot, you drag it over this line, you erase it. You pick up that stick and you draw a new line, a few inches over. And now a small portion of the impossible things are on the possible side, okay? Maybe the job or the house. And you look down at this new portrait, this new picture, and you see a new reality. Okay, your actions start reflecting this change. You start acting like someone who deserves these things. If you don't believe there's gold under your feet, you never dig for it, right? The hardest part isn't digging, it's convincing yourself that this dream, this goal, this desire, it can be yours. It's closing your eyes and seeing yourself as what you want to be. And that's one of the hardest things for people to do. It's why we stay grounded, because it's literally step one that we miss. You can't begin a journey to something better if you don't believe it's waiting for you, if you don't become it before you have it. And here's what's incredible. That line in the sand, it can be redrawn over and over again. It's never permanent. Every day, you can recreate what's possible just by taking yesterday's fantasies and placing them on your side of the line. Telling yourself that it's part of who you are, it's your identity, and humans always follow through to who they believe they are. Runners run, teachers teach. If you believe you're wealthy, you will find ways to generate wealth. This is power, not magic. where you close your eyes and the world changes. No, this is saying to yourself, okay, I can be this, I can have this, and then living up to it. Changing every day. Staying where you are is not always some dramatic action. It's often failing to realize that you have the world in the palm of your hand. Not watering a sea because you don't have the foresight to visualize what it can become. These lines do not need to exist. They don't need to hold you back. Redraw your expectations, adjust your outlook, and change your world.
So as we recap, to introduce the new month, of course, our yearly topic has been living out loud. Our monthly topic, we now know, is playing with paradox. And Reverend Carolyn, you know, I'm so glad that I previewed that video with you, because it's like, wow, okay, so where do we take and go from here? And so it is my great pleasure to reintroduce to you, especially if this might be your first time here. This is Reverend Carolyn Harvill. She is our founding minister for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. And quite frankly, I'm glad that she is launching today. Take it away, Carolyn.
Thank you, Vicki. That's much appreciated. And I want to thank everyone for wearing your hats. I mean, this is so much fun to see everybody with a hat, and it brings a smile to all our faces, I think. And it's just something that adds joy to our lives. And is there any better purpose than adding joy to our lives? I can't think of it. We're talking about paradox today. And as I studied it and got prepared for this, I thought, wow, it's so prevalent. It's in all areas of our lives. And we just don't stop and think about it. I think that we believe two things that look opposite, look like they can't both be true, and yet they are. But what it does to our thinking, what it does to our lives, to understand that we live in a paradoxical universe, that we are surrounded by paradox all the time. Now, we've already heard from Bev and the video and Vicki about paradox. We've already had many examples, and I will give many more examples as I go through my talk today, because I think it expands our understanding. It opens our eyes to see just how prevalent this is, and it gives us the opportunity to be more welcoming of it when it comes up in new situations that look opposite. We can think, but paradox, it is very valid. It's a universal truth. And even though it doesn't make any sense at all, it is truth. I wanted to read a quote. Builders of greatness are comfortable with paradox. They don't oppress themselves with the tyranny of the or, which pushes people to believe that things must be either A or B, but not both. Instead, they liberate themselves with the genius of the and. That was by Jim Collins. The liberty of the and. When we see things, it's not either or. It's not choosing one side or the other side to be a part of, but it's saying and. There is light and there's dark. There is good and there's bad. There's up and there's down. And there seem to be opposites, but they're not. They're just different expressions of truth. Two things that are totally contradictory, and they're both valid. If our world could see that in a broader picture, what would it do to change our world? I come from a traditional Christian background. I was Southern Baptist, and then I was Episcopalian, and sort of moving from, to a more open with the Episcopalians. And then I became evangelical. And then I became Science of Mind. Science of Mind is when I sat in my first service at the back of the room, which is a small room, but I got to the very back of it. And I cried through the entire service because I kept thinking, I'm home. I have finally found something that agrees with what I believe. And so from my history of being a very strict Christian, I got involved in the debate of God created the heavens and earth in 7 days. And if you're a purist, for a biblical person, 7 days is 7 24-hour periods. God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. Well, he actually rested the last day. But so in 6 days, he created all of it. And if you're in that, you can't see anything else. There's no shade of it. So then you come up and you've got evolution. And they have very validity. They've got lots of proof. They've got lots of, whatever that is that says that evolution is the answer. That's the valid part. So we end up with a discussion that's either or. You're either 6 days or you're evolution. And I really struggled with that because, there's just so much proof of evolution. And it's so hard to believe that in 6 days that everything could be created. So I came to something that is an and for me. And it was, yes, God created the heavens and the earth. And the 6 days is just a metaphorical idea of how long it took. And evolution has shown us that it's taken eons. And it has a lot of proof in that. And yet there are things that jump that we have no evidence of. We can't figure out how we went from apes to humanity. It's just something, and there's all these different ones. How did we go from amoebas to birds, and such a variety of birds? If you've ever gone on to Google and you've looked at variety of birds, and it's just amazing what the variety is. Can that happen with chance? I don't know. But I believe that evolution is proof and valid, and that it did happen and has continued to happen. And I also believe that spirit has created what we see here and what we have. There have been times when evolution was going along and all of a sudden it jumped. Well, how did it jump? I think it jumped because spirit said it was time to jump, and we did. And so that's an and for me, and that's an evidence for me that paradox is true, and that I can use two things that are valid, even though they look contradictory. And I ask myself, what would it be like if when people came to the table to talk, if they came to the table to talk to say, let's see where we where we go together, where we find common ground. Let's see where we find that, instead of saying, I'm right and you're wrong. One of the things that was to me, the way that the Bible says it created, it became with light and dark, and the division between light and dark. And then it began to seize all of the oceans and all the water. And at one time it was all water. Evolution has told us that that's true. And then it began to be dry land, and it began to see creative varieties of life in seas. And then as dry land came about, then the life became in land. And it just goes on, that it is all the way that it happened, that this was what it had to be. You had to have light first, you had to have oceans first, and then you had to have the lands. And all of that has come about. So that in itself would say both of the beliefs and truths are basic, true of how it happened. So that is just for me a paradox that has an and that's just one. That's the idea that I have come to. But I'm sure that there are varieties of answers that would say it's all true, it's all valid, and it's okay that it doesn't look like it's valid. So I wanted to give you a paradox is a statement or a situation that seems to contradict common sense, yet may be true or valid. The synonyms for paradox are contradictions, mysteries, incongruities, enigmas, dichotomies, riddles, conundrums. And we have them in our lives, in every layer of our lives. And some of them are: great power is humility. Bullies have an inner bullies have an inner sense that they have worthlessness. True leaders is the servant of his followers. Giving more is rewarding than receiving. Spending less can make you richer. And I love this. The two sentences, the two truths are very contradictory. You have to spend money to make money. So on one side, the truth is savings, and the other dichotomy is spending. If you want to have wealth, then you're going to end up spending as well. Southwest Airlines is just a real example of having unique thinking, who didn't take common sense to understand, or didn't take industry precedents to follow. He lived his own ideas and walked about by them. He had the idea of how to load people onto a plane. Now we have, where they have definitely assigned seatings, and they have different costs for assigned seatings. But he decided that they were not having assigned seatings. They wouldn't have different costs for different seatings. They wouldn't give anything other than the first come, first serve. So when it first started, people would get to the airport early and get in line, and they would have stewardesses welcoming them to wait. But when they got there, they got in line, and then when the doors opened, they got on and got to seat themselves wherever they wanted to. They didn't have assigned seatings. And the industry said, oh no, that's just crazy. You can't do that. You need to have assigned seating. It's faster and it's better and it's more efficient and you make more money. He said, no, it's first come, first serve. Now we have loading. If you've flown Southwest Airlines, you know that if you're leaving at noon tomorrow, then at noon today, you are on the internet and you are getting yourself lined up and getting your pass in so that you can get lined up and be on a first come, first serve basis. And you're really upset if you wait for a few hours before you get up there, because now you're at the later loading and you're going to end up with the less favorable seats. And so the industry said that was wrong. You shouldn't do that. But Kellerman said, no, that's what we do. And it has proven to be faster to load the airplane, which is money. The faster you can do it, the more efficient it is. And actually, the being in some control of when you're going to get into the airplane is a satisfying thing. You can be frustrating too, because you'll be the last one to load. But if you do have some control, and if you exercise that control, you can get the better seats. So it not only saves the airline money and time, it saves frustration for some people. And if you don't get on till late, it's no one's fault but your own. And so you have a different satisfaction. Who are you going to be mad at? Yourself? So no. So that's a dichotomy. I wanted to give you a few more examples because, as I said earlier, the more examples we have, the more we have a deeper understanding. The more open you are to sharing your faults, the more others will think you're perfect. So maybe I ought to tell you some of my faults. No, I think I'll keep them to myself. So I won't be perfect. But sharing our faults is not something that we easily do for most of us. The more available something is, the less you will want it. The more available it is, the less you want it. If gold was plentiful, we wouldn't value it at all. It's because it's rare that we value it. And that's true of everything. If it's plentiful, then we don't value it. The more you're afraid to fail, the more likely you are to fail. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. Oh, isn't that true? The more I think I understand how things work, the more I understand I don't really know it all. The more something scares you, the more you should probably do it. More it scares us, the more we want to avoid it usually. The more you hate a trait in someone else, the more likely you are avoiding it in yourself. Paradox in every aspect. We even have a titled name of the thinking. Would you put up the slide, please? In Roman mythology, Janus was the god of doors, gates, and transitions. Janus represented the middle ground between both concrete and abstract dualities, such as life and death, beginning, end, youth, adulthood, rural, urban, war, peace, barbarism versus civilization. So Janusian thinking is what Janus has given us, has become a representative. It's two-faced, as you will see, because it looks like totally different faces, and yet they're one, and they hold the contradictions in balance. And so we know that whether we're looking at beginning or end, or youth or adulthood, or war or peace, that's all the same, all the oneness. Thank you. You can take the slide down. So Janusian thinking is something that we can decide to adapt into our lives, adopt into our lives, and see things in that way. Okay. We've talked about what is a paradox. We've talked about what is a mindset of paradox, and we've given many examples. But we also need to think about how do we adopt it into our lives? How do we bring it into the reality of who we are and what we believe? The more we know of paradox, we recognize it and we claim it, then the more we can do it more easily. It becomes second thought to us. It becomes something that just happens. And we have that opportunity to see that and understand it and accept it. So we practice by being comfortable with the conflict. We move into and philosophy. So whatever comes up, we put in instead of or. This is right, that's wrong. This is now, this is future. This is what I accept, this is what I reject. But to move into an and philosophy. This is one belief, this is another, but and it can be a win-win-win, meaning that two people can both win in a situation, and the situation itself can be and. It can explore to a new possibility and to take out that tension between this or that, because the tension between that is what we accept as, or what we expect as, to be stressful and limiting. And yet it has shown that having that tension opens us to more. It's important for us. It brings us to be more of who we are. And so we enjoy and we welcome the and. Whenever paradox shows up, we change the word from or to both and. Both and. Both are true, and it can be more. It can be another solution. Now, this is really a simple one, but I believe that when somebody uses the sink, that then they should dry it off, so it should be dry for the next person. Bob doesn't believe that. He doesn't even think about it. He just laughed. he just leaves it wet. It's got sprinkled all over. Okay, then that's the way it is. So there was a time in my life that I believed that he was wrong. He was just wrong. And after I thought about the and, I thought, well, where is it more than that? Where is it not just either or? What is it that I'm right, he's wrong? That I've got the right idea, he's got the wrong idea. I'm taking the right action, he's taking the wrong action. And I stopped and said, and. And in that, I value who he is. He just simply doesn't even think about it. It's not something that he could even considers it. And me, I'm the same way in my belief. I just do it. I just and. That's the way I am. And so we've got a dichotomy. If we come together and we ask and both, then it respects both of us for who we are. And then we look for another third solution. And that solution isn't all one or the other. It's the both. I do clean up behind Bob automatically now, and I don't even think about it. That's just what I do. And he does remember at times and do it for himself. And so we have a balance where we can accept and we can have what is called a win, win, win. It's win for me and that I get an environment I like. It's win for Bob that he is relaxed in who he is. And the and is that we've found a way to be balanced and accepting of all. So it's a win, win, win. And the way you get there is to say, and how can we look at this in a different way? And that's what we're looking for. Okay. So I wanted to talk about, for science of mind, how does paradox believe a balance with science of mind? One, we believe that the spirit is infinite. It is absolute all. It's everything. It's the good, the bad, it's everything at all. And we believe in the value of the finite, that the infinite includes the finite. They're really opposite ideas, and yet they're both valued and they're both where we are. And so that's one of the paradoxes within the science of mind system. A couple of quotes by him. The riddle of the universe is paradox. The question is in its own answer. For the mind that asks that question is also the mind that answers it. The mind that asks the question also answers the question. Is that possible? Is that practical? No, but it's valid and it's true. What we must avoid, however, is the confusion which arises from a belief in final revelations, from the belief that all truth is at last discovered, or that some one person or some one system or thought has delivered the last word. There are no finalities in any science, any philosophy, or any religion. He was famous for saying, open at the top. And that was a belief based on there's always more to learn and to understand. There's always more to accept. And so he didn't say that his philosophy was the last word. He never thought that. He never thought that he had all the answers. He knew that he had an interest, an understanding that it was definite, that he had the definite answer. And he also was famous for saying that every religion, every faith has nuggets of truth that are valid. And every religion has that to offer. What would happen if everyone said, okay, we have this, and you have that, and you have that, and you have that, and can we bring it together to be valid? Every religion believes that there is a spirit, a God, an entity. If we understood that, wouldn't that be common ground? wouldn't we be able to say that we could look at it and come to understand that we all have truth, we all have validity, if we know how to search for it and we use the and. It's so important to know that there's more to understand, that there's more to accept. And he was very good about saying that. So to understand that our very faith is paradox, that our very understanding is paradox, not anything else. We have all this truth to understand and to share with others. And it is in our lives that we welcome the philosophy of and. And I have a few more examples. Whatever you do in life will be insignificant, but it is important that you do it. Gandhi. It is insignificant, and yet it is important that we do it. Whatever our significance is, it is something that the world needs, and it's ours to share. John Lennon, it's weird not to be weird. I'm nobody. This is Emily Dickinson. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? I want to end with simply saying that whatever we think is, yes, valid. And what we're going to think and feel tomorrow is valid. And our life is all about significance that seems insignificant, and yet it is ours to do and to be. And so we are thankful, and we end with and. Prayer. Where is our prayer? Prayer is saying so many things, and we use it as an example today. There is only one, and that one is spirit. That one is absolute, and it is all that all is. And we welcome it, and we know it, and yet we also know that we are individuals, finite, a part of the infinite. And so that we know this, we simply recognize the infinite, and we find ourselves being who we are, finite, and yet we are the one. And so we know this, and we accept it, and we are it. And we are blessed, and we appreciate it, and we know the presence and the power. And we let it be, and we know that it is, and it will bring us more and more as we live our lives in the absolute and the paradoxical. And so it is, and so it is. Amen. Vicki, you're on mute.
So now Beverly will be offering us our prosperity affirmation.
Thank you. I activate within me the consciousness of love, compassion, and generosity. I'm a beneficial presence in the world. I'm going to say it again, and I invite you to say it with me, to put that essence within your heart this morning and at this time. I activate within me the consciousness of love, compassion, and generosity. I am a beneficial presence in the world.
And I take up this word on this affirmative atmosphere among us, saying, thank you for your time, talents, and treasures that you bring to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. We are open to both give and receive as vessels of spirit, and I embrace the paradox in it. I embrace it fully right now, saying, on behalf of each being here present and of this entity collectively, we are available. We are available in the spiritual classroom to maximizing what is possible in this understanding that has been offered up in the messages today. Thank you, Spirit, for already having prospered all of it to the highest and best. We release it, we let it be, and so it is.
That takes us to our announcements for the week. And we have a nice long list, so I know that you'll find something that's a match for you in terms of spending and learning and growing forward. The first Wednesday spiritual connection is coming up October the 4th, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we are so fortunate to have Doug Iverson bring his talents to the table for First Wednesday connection. Definitely looking forward to that, Doug. Don't forget our men's group. They meet this Thursday, 6:30. First Saturday visioning.
So just to bolster this a little bit, because we are doing more with visioning these days, if any of you are possibly confused by the fact that it's on Telebridge rather than on the Zoom, or if you have any questions about what will happen if you come to visioning, please do reach out and let me or a practitioner know, and we would be happy to answer your questions. This call, if you dial that number, the computer answers and says, enter your access code, and the access code gets you into just our group. And the visioning will go for 45 minutes, and then that rolls directly into the Saturday discussion call that happens every Saturday. Visioning happens only the first Saturday of every month, but then the Saturday discussion call that follows it, and you can even just stay on the line. You don't even have to redial in. And it's just a very empowering opportunity, and we just want to keep inviting people until you've all had the opportunity to experience it.
Thank you, Vicki. You opened my understanding, as well as I know other people who had the opportunity to hear this. That brings us to a workshop coming up. The awareness of trauma and its influence on dis-ease, for Sunday, October the 8th. And I know that both of these participants who are coming to share with us have close alignment with you, Vicki. Share with us what this will be.
Thank you, Beverly. So many of you were with the two presenters here on the 7th of May. This is Dr. William Emerson and Suzanne Harrill. Suzanne Harrill is the woman who wrote Seed Thoughts for Loving Yourself that so many of our practitioners have been taking readings from. And so in one way, this is a follow-up for the 7th of May. If you were there, this will be a second layer and will go that much richer. However, the structure of this is such that anyone can benefit. You do not have to have been there on the 7th of May to benefit from this event. It's an hour and a half long, and there will be, the opening will have actual content presentation that builds on. We really want people to understand more about when you become aware, if you've had trauma in your life, how is that potentially impacting your life today? How does it continue to show up? Even when we've done our spiritual work and we think, I've been there and done that, this should not be a problem for me. Or perhaps today there's many people that have fresh traumas happening because of recovering from COVID and all the things that have happened. And so this opportunity is just really rich for just about anyone to be in a field of understanding and compassion and get some resourcing. And so if any of you have any questions, please reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to help you get comfortable.
Thank you. Tech support is still looking for a few, not necessarily few, a whole abundance of volunteers to help admit people into the service each Sunday. That helps Vernon, who's got balls bouncing around everywhere in the air, keeping them all going. It gives him a tremendous support when someone is there to admit people as they come, even when they might come late. So take that opportunity if you want to see how it might be a match for you.
And Vernon and I were talking just a little bit about this morning. We want to let you know that there are steps involved to learning this, but it's relatively simple to learn. And we are so appreciative of our current volunteers. Our current volunteers are Pam and Katrina, and life takes them away sometimes. And so there will be a period coming up in these next few weeks where those couple additional volunteers are going to be awesome. Also, I know Pat has volunteered, and we appreciate that. But if you're thinking about this, maybe draw that line in the sand just a little farther over that says, I could try this. We will not intimidate you, I promise. So thank you. And I'll just
unexpected initiative. Vicki, you do this one well.
So an interesting thing happened this week. As far as I know, received by the community, the one report that I got was huge that someone had received, but it actually happened in July. So within energetic integrity, we said, no, that's okay. We'll just go with what's actually happening now. So as far as I know, what has been received by you all in your lives has not advanced. However, we did receive $150 of completely unexpected income directly into LCSL. And Vernon's going to change the slide for me in just a second. And so, as you see, now the income received by LCSL is also rising. So keep saying the treatment, and anyone who does not remember receiving that prayer that everyone's been saying together, let me know, because I'm happy to make sure you get a copy of that. Your prayers, your meditations, your visionings about this, we're all doing it together, and it is phenomenally effective. So thank you, everyone.
We invite you to...
Go ahead, Beth.
I'm sorry. We invite you to stay for our sharing time today, following the benediction, and we'll all be here together to communicate and know and reinforce and move forward. Vicki?
That was perfect. I get on a roll, but that was all good. Thank you very much, Bev. And this will bring us to our closing song. Or actually, first of all, you are magnificent. Let's say together, you are
magnificent.
Now we're up to our closing song, which is the Receiving Chant by Miss Karen Drucker. And I thought that this is particularly applicable to the atmosphere of us all learning to expand our capacity to receive. This is a beautiful video.
I do believe I will receive. I just have to know and then declare it to be so with an open mind and just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it will be mine. I do believe I will receive. I just have to know and then declare it to be so with an open mind and just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it will be mine. I do believe I will receive. I will receive. I just have to know. I just have to know and then declare it to be so with an open mind. With an open mind. Just a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time now. If it serves my highest good, then it will be mine. I do believe. I will receive. I will receive. I just have to know. Just have to know. And then declare it to be so with an open mind. And just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. I do believe. I will receive. I will receive. I just have to know. Just have to know. And then declare it to be so with an open mind. Just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. I do believe I will receive. I just have to know and then declare it to be so with an open mind. Just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. Anything I want, it is mine. Anything I want, it is mine. Perfect health, it is mine. Perfect health, it is mine. Joy and peace, yeah, it is mine. Joy and peace, it is mine. Love, 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 it is mine. Love, 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 it is mine. If it serves my highest good, it is mine. If it serves my highest good, it is mine. If it serves my highest good, it is mine.
Now, I'm thinking that those of us studious people who are listening carefully to Reverend Carolyn will recognize this. This is one of the pearls, I believe, from the whole message, and Spirit had me to put it in our benediction as a synchronicity. Say with me, if you will. The riddle of the universe is a paradox. The question is its own answer. The mind that asks the question is also the mind that answers it. Amen.